Reddit isn't exactly taking Trump's second term very well, and I thought we'd go through some of the wonderful posts that I found on there just to have a good time. It's time for a bit of salt mining. Thank you to Reddit Lies, the Twitter account, for making this possible, because I did actually go through Reddit today, and my god, it's just insanely left-wing slop, and I can't stand it. But these posts are emblematic of what is happening on Reddit. So I thought we'd use these, and because I appreciate anyone who's doing the Lord's work like Reddit Lies is. So anyway, Redditors are hoping that Trump doesn't become president. Will the Congress can still reopen the joint session and file objections, bro? It's over. Trump controls the Congress as well, doesn't he? So like, it's not happening. It's over. You've lost. Come to terms with it. Just accept that actually people don't want communism. They don't want their children perverted. They don't want their country abandoned to everyone else in the world. They don't want to be censored. They don't want to be disarmed. They don't want to have their economies ruined. They don't want to pay an insane tax burden to see it given away to junkies on the street. They don't want junkies on the street, actually. They don't want what the left has been selling, right? That's just end of it. People, the majority of Americans, remember, Trump got the popular vote as well. Most people disagree with you on the things you believe. You are in the minority, you do not represent the majority, and people didn't want it, and so they voted to Trump to undo it. And by God, isn't he getting on with it with his executive orders? You love to see it. So, of course, there are many of them who I think it's charitable to say are kind of gaslighting themselves into thinking that Trump and his administration is going to be Hitler 2.0, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. But you can tell that a lot of them are just like, well, look, I'm just so afraid. What has happened to us? We're in trouble. This whole thing needs to be scrapped and rebuilt. Well, I'm sorry, that's not how this is going to work. What's going to happen is that Trump is going to reign gloriously for 4 years, put the US back on a good keel, and we will hopefully be able to support some based MAGA chud, maybe with blue eyes and a beard, going into 2028, 2029, and continue the 1,000-year glorious American restoration, which is what I hope is going to happen. Anyway, this means that, of course, you're a bad person, and the Redditor, again, the stages of grief, right? It's like denial, bargaining, acceptance, hatred. If you voted for Trump, I hope the worst for you. Oh, that's kind. That's the politics of, it's a kind of gentler politics. Let's not sugarcoat it. With few exceptions, these people are losers and stupid, says the loser, who doesn't sound like our best and brightest. If you're a Hispanic and vote for Trump, I hope you get deported. Well, that's very, very, very kind of you. It's very kind. You could at least wish them goodwill. Like, it's not very progressive, is it? And F these new organizations, sane washing this. Oh, he tapped in with the country. He was more disciplined this time. F you, Wall Street Journal. He lost because, high prices. Well, you know what? There's something about ruining the country's economy that most people, again, just don't agree with. And if the other guy's like, remember how good it was under me? Remember how you had money in your pocket? Remember how everyone was making money and the prices were low and the fuel prices were low and everything was going quite great and there were no foreign wars and everything was going great? Wouldn't you like to return to that? And it seems that people did. Maybe Kamala wasn't the perfect candidate, but she was so much better than this piece of human trash. Like, this is the thing, though, isn't it? What I love is the second the leftist doesn't get what they want, they become the spiteful, resentful mutant that they are. The mask goes straight off. They go, no, I just hate everyone. I hate you all. They're literally like Anakin Skywalker, just full of hate and loathing about everyone who disagrees with them and manages to get ahead of them. Sorry. And then, of course, you have those who are just like in total shock because Trump is about to do something to trans people, apparently. I mean, you see people saying, I'm saddened to say that since we're in dangerous waters now, I think it's best to go back to the shadows until it's safer. As the mother of a military transgender soldier and a mum to a wonderful wonderful lesbian women, really? So all three of your kids ended up trans or gay. What were the odds? Like, what were the odds? It's nothing to do with you, I'm sure. You know, I know you're scared. This is going to be hell for those of us living in America. Oh yeah, I'm sure America is going to go right down the tubes now, bro. It was all clear sailing right up until Trump took over, and now it's just going to be junkies in the street, trash piling up, buildings falling apart, planes falling out of the sky. No, that's all what happened under Biden, isn't it? That's all what happened under your DEI regime. Trump is going to clean up the place. Trump is going to make sure that things work. Trump is going to put the correct people in the correct positions of power to make sure that things operate as they ought to. He's going to actually remove the irrational, categorical discrimination. Right? He literally just came in and said, look, it's going to be merit. If you're good at something, you get to do it. You can't ask for something more fair than that. That is the non-discrimination position. So I can see why you guys are terrified, because I'm sure you're not losers or anything. Anyway, my favorite is when they start going truly off the rails, though, and spiraling, right? This one randomly out of context is just hilarious. We are in a Nazi dictatorship. I don't know why people are gaslighting themselves. My brother in Christ, I think you may be gaslighting yourself. I mean, first things first, it's obviously not a dictatorship, is it? Like, he was elected, there's going to be 4 years, and then someone else is going to be elected. It's not a dictatorship. It's obviously a democratic republic. But secondly, Trump is obviously not a Nazi. Trump doesn't, like, no one realistic. And, okay, there are definitely people who think that, but these people use Reddit and are mental. So, like, nobody takes you seriously. Jewish people don't take that seriously. Like, Israel doesn't take that seriously. Germany doesn't take that seriously. All of these people, if they all thought that Trump was genuinely a Nazi, they'd have a real problem with Trump. But actually, no, and a lot of them really like Trump. But no, yeah, I don't know why you're gaslighting yourselves. Well, because the thing is that if you don't continue gaslighting yourselves on this, then frankly, you have to admit that for the last 8 years, you've been wrong about everything. And that might lead you to further revelations of what else you've been wrong about. And this sort of cascade of wrongness will essentially undo your entire personality. So your only choice at this point is to gaslight yourself into believing, right, okay, it's just a Nazi dictatorship, bro. It's just 1938 all over again, bro. Because if it's not, you're a lunatic. And that's a tough thing to think about when you look at yourself in the mirror. So, am I mad? No. Trump's a Nazi dictator. He's going to put all the trans people into death camps. Sensible. Anyway, so, I mean, this is a very, very common refrain from people on Reddit, right? It's all over Reddit. Critical thinking is so lost here. We are actively living through a play-by-play of something that will go in textbooks next to Stalin and Hitler. I mean, there's not anything I can say to rebut that, because there's no point. That's a lunatic position. Like, Trump is not going to control a centralized command economy. He is not going to create a Gestapo, or I can't remember what the Soviet one was called now, or the equivalent of a secret police that goes around disappearing in the night. That's not going to happen, right? He literally signed an executive order to prevent governments from censoring people. He's not going to mass censor the media. He's not going to take control of all of the media and everything that's published. He's not going to abolish other political parties. He's not going to bring down an iron curtain so you're not allowed to leave the country, right? He's not going to do anything like Stalin and Hitler did. He's not going to march people into death camps or work camps. He's not going to genocide Christians. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to genocide Jews. He's not going to genocide anyone, right? None of that's going to happen. What's going to happen is a return to the sort of normal, sensible 90s Democrat agenda. Honestly, right, Trump is basically Bill Clinton from about 1995. Right? I'm not even joking. Bill Clinton wanted a wall. Bill Clinton wanted to get rid of illegals. Bill Clinton wanted a fair and non-discriminatory civil service and political system. Bill Clinton Bill Clinton signed off on all of this. Like, seriously, go back and look at Bill Clinton's, like, his 1997 manifesto or whatever it is. It's just Trump. It's just all Trump. And what happened? Well, Trump was a 90s Democrat. What a shock. Like, Trump actually hasn't changed. You guys have become mental. So anyway, moving on. TikTok. Oh, yeah. Well, Trump hates TikTok, doesn't he? Trump pushed his agenda to ban TikTok. Now he saved TikTok. What rubbish is this? And the picture is, for anyone listening, TikTok saying, "Thank you, President Trump, for saving TikTok." Now, I don't even agree with that. I think he should have let it go. But the point being, is that what a Nazi dictator does? He's like, yeah, no, I'm going to make sure that foreign media can operate freely in my country, says Hitler. What? Nothing about this is Nazi. You people are mental. And to be honest with you, I'm just having a good time enjoying the salt. Now, this really is funny, right? This is really, really good. So there is a cascading effect on Reddit at the moment where one subreddit, and these are not political subreddits, these are subreddits like our Star Trek, stuff like this, just completely normal subreddits. I mean, this is our picks, They've all decided that Elon Musk is in fact not autistic. He is not neurodivergent. He's not someone who has trouble expressing himself in front of a large crowd of people. And he doesn't have a history of being basically a bit autistic. No, what he is actually is a goose-stepping Nazi, because when he was trying to throw his heart out to the crowd to show them how much he loved them, his arm went straight. Now, that means you're a Nazi. He went to the Wailing Wall. He went to Auschwitz. He keeps saying how much of a philo-Semite he is and how much he admires the Jewish people. But one accidental Roman salute, and that's all they needed. No, boom, Nazi, gotcha. Knew it, Elon, mask off. As the Nazis wanted to do, Elon is going to reduce the size of the state. Typical Nazi propaganda from Elon. But anyway, so everyone on Reddit was 141,000 upvotes on this. Well, that was it. Elon's doing a Nazi salute. And again, look at his face. Look, I'm just saying, right? Maybe you guys, from your own standards, are being ableist. Like, I don't like to, use your term back at you. But come on, the dude's a bit special, which is honestly why I personally quite like him. Like, I feel very represented by Elon. And if you point out on Reddit that the ADL is like, look, this wasn't a Nazi salute. And again, the ADL, of all people, I mean, they are the first people normally to say, oh, guys, that guy's a Nazi, because they directly benefit from that. They're the first person to accuse people of being Nazis. Even the ADL is like, look, he was just being exuberant. He was just caught up in the moment. He was trying to throw his heart out of people. He wasn't heiling Hitler. Okay, why do I have to say that? Right? And if you say that, bam, ADL says that, bam, banned. You're all banned. Especially if you post other world leaders putting their arm up like that. No, you're banned too. How dare you? Look, we are gaslighting ourselves into believing we're living in a Nazi dictatorship here. Shut up pointing out that anyone could accidentally raise their arm to wave at people. Right? Shut up. And from a certain angle, it looks vaguely similar to a salute that the mid-century Germans did, right? No, you're banned. You're all banned. All of you are banned. And this from our comics. I mean, again, these are not necessarily political subreddits, although I imagine all of Reddit is essentially kind of political at this point. But you're all banned for pointing out that, in fact, maybe things aren't as we think they are, because we want to live in a totally detached bubble from reality, right? We want to live in what is essentially a sort of World War II fan fiction, where we're living as the French resistance, constantly, vive la resistance, fighting the Nazis and our underground networks because the evil empire has conquered us. Well, that's not really what's happening at all, in fact. But this is the point, isn't it? This is a giant simulacrum of politics that is going on Reddit. And it's like, okay, but these people are nuts. And you would think, okay, well, what's the harm of them being nuts? Well, it could get worse, right? If they decide that, no, Elon's a Nazi, all of the media are Nazis, the ADL are Nazis, because they're not all like, no, that was a Nazi salute. And if they're claiming that Elon didn't do a Nazi salute, then they're Nazis too. Well, if you genuinely believe that you're trapped in a Nazi world, you're occupied by a Nazi government, literal Nazis are everywhere. Everyone who is voted for them is a Nazi or is complicit in Nazism, and they're literally about to start genociding someone. Well, you might start actually preparing for violence, right? And this is the thing that, okay, this is, it's funny to go salt mining, but genuinely, I think you're probably going to see Reddit shooters, basically, is what I'm saying. I think these people are actually going to sit there in their little ideological hotbox and gaslight each other to the point where, yeah, no, God, we've got Nazis everywhere. We have to do something about it. And this sort of thing will come up. I mean, let's look at this thread. What happens when Trump orders the military to fire on protesters? What do you mean when? What do you mean when? He's not going to do that. He's not going to order the military to fire on protesters. That's not going to happen. Dude practically salivates at the thought of having a Tiananmen Square stateside. Well, the Chinese Communist Party didn't want a Tiananmen Square. That's why they censor it. Right? As far as they're concerned, it didn't happen. You're not allowed to say that it happened. But they don't. This is not a good thing, right? And someone replies, well, it's up to someone in the chain of command to stop it. If not when, then it's the second. That's what the Second Amendment is for. Oh, really? Okay. So voting, Congress, Supreme Court, peaceful demonstrations, we are here. Violent revolution is the next stop. Oh, right. Okay. So people on Reddit are going to gaslight themselves in their little ideological hotboxes until they're like, no, we're under a Nazi regime. We're about to get Tiananmen squared. This is what the Second Amendment is for. We need to engage in a violent coup against the Trump administration because we have banned everyone who contradicted us, who said, look, guys, these are not actually Nazis. Don't worry. And so you got people on this side, we're going to start running guns to people. Like the queer people who are buying guns to prepare for Trump's America. Central Arkansas here. If you need assistance getting armed or training, send me a message. I will help you the absolute best I can. I've been collecting my entire life and can easily part with some. So, right, okay, great. So you're going to get ideological lunatics who have banned everyone, again, like a cult, genuinely like a cult, who have banned everyone outside of their ideological gaslighting chamber, so they only hear constant reinforcement of the same message over and over and over. And this is what Hayek pointed out in The Road to Serfdom. The problem with the world is actually not propaganda. There's normally propaganda coming from every different angle. Like, you could consider this video propaganda because I'm giving you my opinion in contradiction to theirs, and I'm not giving you, some third or fourth or fifth or sixth opinion, right? You're only seeing my opinion and their opinion, and my opinion is critiquing their opinion, and they can't critique me back. It might be fair to call this a form of propaganda. But then, of course, what they're doing is a form of propaganda. And then what everyone else is doing is a form of propaganda. Because propaganda just becomes a singular message being projected out to an audience, right? Now that, on its own, as Hayek points out, that's not a bad thing. It's not a problem. That's actually normal in democracy. Normally, that's the point of free speech. Everyone gets to be able to take a platform and say, this is my opinion. And you get a million different contradicting opinions, and so you aren't radicalized in one direction, right? The problem with totalitarianism and control of propaganda and totalitarianism was that the propaganda only went in one way. So you only heard one narrative over and over and over, and that meant that you thought everyone agreed with you, all the institutions agree with you, everyone in government is therefore completely justified in doing whatever they do, and this gives license to whatever crazy things these people have got on their mind. And so the Redditors are actually going down the road of totalitarianism and essentially falling into a cult that is going to license them doing dangerous things. And I have to say, I'm genuinely concerned about it. But anyway, I guess we'll leave that there. Hopefully the Redditors don't do anything crazy. Obviously, if you're on Reddit and you'll hate watching this, don't. You're not under a Nazi dictatorship. You're a lunatic. Get off of Reddit, for Christ's sake. And for the rest of you, well, cope and seethe.